To create a sacred space in any form begins with identifying the symbols and meanings that for each one of us is sacred. Something that we respect, something we admire, something we feel in service to that is bigger than ourselves, something transcendent, and in some way distinct from our ordinarily mundane life, or whatever life we don't see as sacred. This is the beginning of a sacred space. Now, for Helen, one of the things that she showed me was a little sculpture she'd purchased from an artist that was, around 8-9 inches tall, of St. Francis, and she just loved this image. And so since she'd purchased the concept from the artist already, who didn't make such large sculptures, I suggested that we replicate it. In other words, what we did is took a photograph of the art piece, sent it to a graphic designer, had a vector drawing made up, which can be then turned into any scale, sent that to a laser cutter that cuts iron sheets, and making a few modifications to both the birds and also some of the birds in the body of St. Francis, just to be on the safe side in terms of not an exact replica for copyright purposes, we recreated the concept. Now, we had this lovely bed in front here, which you can see is this little kind of planter potting sink. So it's got a sink, it's got a water faucet, it's got two little cupboards, and rather than haul that off, because a barbecue used to be in this place of this planter, I suggested we turn that cavity into a steel planter. The client liked the rusted steel look. So that's exactly what we did. And consistent with the St. Francis theme, the front steel plate that's welded on is using animal and bird profiles to represent St. Francis. Now, just on the right here, you can, above the kind of planter, you see a scroll. And what's interesting about the scroll is it allows the place for a poem, which can be a meaningful poem. And so we printed that on canvas. Now, over here, you can see 4 distinct images linked with a common border that have been printed out in canvas with a UV-resistant sealer and attached to this very large fence. Now, good design ties intention, and value or practicality together, because this is a small garden, but look at the enormous sense of space that comes from putting a 7-foot by 31-foot tapestry all along the fence. Now, it's very inexpensive to mount something on an existing fence, but it looks many times more meaningful and significant. Now, whether it's the bit of writing text at the end in Latin, Maybeck, which means all one, or inserting namaste to bridge it with reference to the client's Irish ancestry, or the Black Madonna, or to the two ladies of justice, each of which have some sense of meaning for this particular client, or putting the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu, or a dance out in the beach. Each of these things has particular meaning and a particular feeling of beauty for the client. And so this is a digital design that does not require any water. It's a one-time cost. You don't have to weed it. It's completely deer resistant. It's fire resistant. In other words, this is a tremendous amount of impact for a very low cost in money and maintenance and water. You know, this is a drought-tolerant image. You can put, as we'll see in the next image here, where out of a sensitivity to Marin water shortages, the client wanted to skip the water feature we'd originally designed and put this image of a waterfall, of a forest creek. And at the end is one of her spiritual mentors, Ramdas, in a painting that she likes. And so this takes up little or no space. In the case of the water feature, it doesn't require any algae removal. It doesn't require cleaning the pump. It doesn't require the electricity bill to run the pump. It's an image of a natural water feature. And so it similarly covers a fence that was otherwise the sole kind of viewpoint right outside the kitchen window. And so, you know, what we can see as a concept is that a space can become incredibly meaningful and perhaps sacred when we fill it with symbols and images that have meaning, that are valuable to us. And those can be brought in powerful ways, limited only to our imagination. An outdoor canvas has a lifespan of at least 7 years. And at that point, you have the ability to reprint either the same or something that feels more fresh and meaningful at the time.